A very good morning, good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are, and welcome to this a match preview of Manchester United's visit to Aston Villa in the English Premier League. My name is Webb. It's always a pleasure to be here to talk about beloved Manchester United. Now, today we are going to look at our probable lineup, of course, some team news for us concerning our club and how prepared we are for this trip to Villa Park, where we take on a team that is 8 points clear of us, but it was an unsuspectable positioning coming into this game. Well, we'll definitely talk about that in a bit. We've got, of course, to talk about the players to watch from Aston Villa, but also how prepared are our players to take on this team that seems to be stubborn, and the boss Erik Ten Hag is aware of what threat exactly this team can pose. Welcome to the United Hotspot. Where are you watching from? Drop in the comment section and let me know where you will be watching this game from. By the way, I've realized that Manchester United games are more interesting if you watch them in a public space. This business of sitting in your house like here and watch the game alone, I think does not work a lot. I think it's more fun watching them in public spaces. But for me, starting tomorrow, things will be different because I've got to be here with you for a live watch along. Guys, you can join me for these watch alongs because I'm returning with them, this time bigger and better and more banging. So let's get to enjoy Manchester United. Now, on the right hand side of your screen is my probable lineup, expected lineup by Erik Ten Hag. Of course, we'll discuss it a bit and try to see how I would tweak it around depending on certain moments in the game. But most importantly, what do you expect Højlund to produce? He has been our most exciting player. Do you believe finally now that Højlund is worth £72 million? You can let me know what you think about that in the comment section. A very good morning. Well, a lot of news concerning Manchester United, including rumors that we could be signing Frankie de Jong. We'll talk about that. I'll drop a video later about de Jong and my honest opinions about him. But for this one, I want us to stick to this big opponent we are facing in the late kickoff that will be on Sunday. That's tomorrow. Well, hi, are you ready for the show? Showtime, ladies and gentlemen. Drop in the comment section and let's get proper into it. I do hope you have subscribed. Now, let's get into it. Now, so Manchester United traveling to Aston Villa. There are no major concerns. I think the one major concern we have as United, of course, is Lisandro Martinez, the injury. But I think by now we must have moved on from from Licha. We know that he won't be playing for at least 8 weeks. So we will be back after March. But that doesn't mean we don't have the armory to be able to deal with this Aston Villa side. The reality is Aston Villa, whereas they are lying fourth on the pile with 46 points, United is 6th with 38. I don't think they have been on a good run, which is first an advantage, but it can also be a major disadvantage because that alone can be the motivation they need to come out guns blazing and try to protect their what was a fortress before. Remember, they have lost back-to-back games at home, so the last one being against Newcastle United. They have gone 5 games with only a win. They have drawn twice and lost twice in the last 5. Ollie Watkins has not been, looking the Watkins we would be threatened of. But all this should not matter because the reality is Aston Villa gave us some bit of headache in the reverse fixture. Even if we won that game with Alejandro Garnacho scoring a brace and the goal, the first Premier League goal for Rasmus Højlund, if you recall, at Old Trafford, I think the psych will be there. One thing I know about Unai Emery's team and this Aston Villa, and even when he was at Arsenal, when they had a good game, when they have a good game, they can obliterate anyone, they can destroy anyone. That's the reality. I do remember, I think his first game in charge of Aston Villa, I think they beat us by 3-1. Those are the memories he'll be hoping to rekindle in this game. So the cycle will be there. And that's why we've got to come aware that even if we've been almost on a run, of course, considering the last 2 games and how we've performed, we cannot be complacent and rest on our laurels. We do know that Aston Villa is a team we should respect. And that's why, if you ask me, I think we should take an even more conservative approach to the Villa Park than we did against West Ham, because the way we played West Ham was a bit conservative. We are not off the blocks from the start of the game. we'll try to, grow into the game. I think we need to take an even more conservative approach to Villa Park if we are going to grind a result out of it, because it is definitely going to be an exciting end-to-end but very difficult game for us. But what are the lineups? Before I even let's build it with you guys. Let's build it with you. I honestly think, of course, considering how Andre Onana performed in the last game, I think it's only right that we just allow that Onana is, first of all, never going to be benched. Not now that he got such a clean sheet. I think it's obvious he's not going to be benched by Erik Ten Hag. So let's try to build our squad, and starting off in goal with Andre Onana. I hope you see it right there. And let me just try to make this bigger for you so that we try to build this United squad together. In terms of team news, I think I've given it to you. There is not a lot of team news to be uh, looking at. The injured players are known in terms of Lisandro Martinez, Mason Mount, Tyrell Malaysia, and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. So this could be the lineup, but I'll tweak it a bit as we go on. So in goal, obviously, Andre Onana, who has conceded 50 goals already, is looking like he's looking calm. I honestly felt like Andre Onana looked calm in the game against West Ham, which perhaps is because ahead of him, in front of him, were solid players in Casemiro, Lisandro Martinez, who played a large part in the game, and Kobe Mainu and the rest of the players. To be honest, we can fault Andre Onana for the 50 goals he's conceded, and of course the certain baby mistakes he has been making. But the reality is, some of the players ahead of him were not making it very easy for him to look like the world-class goalkeeper that he should be. The guy who was the best goalkeeper in Europe in the last year before we signed him. So probably, if we keep up performances like this ahead of him, Andre Onana will certainly look, the good goalkeeper he should be. So in goal, you've got Andre Onana. On the left back, certainly Luke Shaw. I don't expect Luke Shaw. Of course, there could be debates of whether Luke Shaw should come and be the left-handed player playing on the left-hand side of the centre back. But I think that again would be Erik Ten Hag being a tinker man. It would be a far-fetched change in the squad, because Luke Shaw has been looking impressive on that left-back position, and the fact that he just returned from injury, we need him to be playing there a little more so that there is some bit of consistency in our team in that department, and of course for him to pick up his form again, because I still don't think Luke Shaw is at his Luke Shaw best in that left back position. So more game time will get him better. In the central defense, Rafael Varane has got a record. He has got the best percentages of ball passing with the right and the left foot. We may not give Rafael Varane enough credit for how much he uses his left foot, but actually he does use it quite well. The beauty about Rafael Varane playing with Harry Maguire in that centre back, and I'm not saying it's a centre back pairing when Licha is there. It is obviously Licha on the left-hand side and end of the two on the right. But the beauty I love about these two is their ball passing abilities are also good. Of course, Licha is in a class of his own, but these two are good ball passers and ball distributors, and I think they cover up for Licha's absence decently well in terms of how they distribute the ball. Harry Maguire is a good ball distributor, and so is Rafael Varane, and I feel like we can cope with these two. But also, even if one of the two was benched and we have Johnny Evans there, for me, I have no issues with Evans if he's fully fit. So Varane starting on the left-hand side and Harry Maguire on the right. Maguire in the last game against West Ham had a little moment of madness. And we were almost punished, by the way. But I think it was the only one moment I can recall in that game where he put a foot wrong. The right things he did in the game, I think, covered up. And of course, the general performance of the team and the victory covered up for that little slip he had when he was trying to give a back pass to Andre Onana, but I think he got a bad touch on the ball, and we're almost being, I think it was it Kudus on the ball? I forget who it was for West Ham, but I think Maguire has been looking impressive even after returning from injury. The minutes he's played, I think he has been looking decent. So Varane and Harry Maguire in the central defense. Then Diogo Dalot definitely on the right. I love how Diogo Dalot keeps cutting in and adding to our midfield. I think what Erik Ten Hag wants to do, and it is to make what Ten Hag does is when we have the ball, we drop into a back three. Diogo Dallo falls in because he's a good ball player. He's a work hardy. He keeps moving around. Maguire goes wide. Rafael Varane comes here. We fall into a back three, or at times it could even be one of the midfielders coming here. Luke Shaw adding to the attack. So one of the midfielders comes and tries to add on the defense. So Dalot is contributing, is adding himself to the midfield. Or at times it is we have even been seen situations where we are left with one of the midfielders being having a back two at some point and have so many players in the middle going up front, and that's when we have the ball. Then when we lose the ball, we drop back in our natural shape. I love the movements. I think I love the way our players move, and it's beginning to look coordinated. I love the way our players move when we have the ball, trying to add to the attack. And the fascination that Erik Ten Hag has got with attacking is beginning to look clear. And how he wants to play seems to be clear. And I think even with the players, I think if there's one player who has mastered Erik Ten Hag and what he wants to do, I think it is Diogo Dalot, and that's why he's a very important player in this whole Erik Ten Hag setup. So Diogo Dalot on the right, I think is a no-brainer. If he's fit, he will be starting there. Luke Shaw on the left. Then Casemiro. Erik Ten Hag said that Casemiro gets better with more minutes, and I think it is true. We've seen that he struggled a bit in the first game on his return, and he has been looking impressive and improving, becoming more confident by the day. I think clearly what he needs is minutes. So Casemiro will be shielding the back line. Now Ten Hag loves to play a single pivot. I'm not a fan of a single pivot, more so against a team like Aston Villa that will come at you, that has got a certain level of directness. I do recall the first fixture when they were almost beating us. I think one of the issues we had was playing a single pivot. We are always running at us. And if you keep letting Casemiro be exposed to fast young players like that, he's going to be more susceptible to committing a foul. So my honest opinion is we should be playing a 4-2-3-1, like you've seen, I've indicated it there, instead of a 4-3-3 that can times, of course, switch into different formations, because the 4-3-3 is more flexible. You can switch it into any formation depending on where on what the game situations are like. I honestly think we need to start with a solid 4-2-3-1, and of course, that the obvious would be Kobe Maino blocking on one side, Casemiro on the other, and Luke Shaw being the number 10 behind, and Bruno Fernandes being the number 10 behind Hoyland, sandwiched by Rashford and Garnacho. But like the England boss said, I honestly don't think Maino's best position, the best of him, will be seen with him playing as a holding midfielder. If Casemiro is there, can we put Bruno next to Casemiro? Because Bruno can even pass the ball from deep. He's a good ball passer as well. And can we try playing Kobe Maino as a number 10? I honestly think Kobe Maino is more dangerous as a number 10 with Casemiro there, because Maino solved our biggest problem when Casemiro was not there. He was better as a holding midfielder, but or as a defensive midfielder. But I actually think Maino's instinct can be more dangerous with him if we try to change him to be a number 10. I think he can be more dangerous, and we can score more goals. We can see even more goals from him from those positions, but also he can create more assists for Rasmus Højlund and all these other guys, the Garnachos of this world. So I think what Erik Ten Hag can do in this game is to play, first of all, a double pivot so that there are no leaks in the middle, so that Casemiro is not made to work so hard. Because if you play a single pivot, this is what happens. Usually he wants to play like this. This is usually what Erik Ten Hag wants to play. A 4-3-3 with a one holding midfielder. So it means this player will have all this distance to cover, all this ground to cover. That is what it means, that the holding midfielder Casemiro will have all this ground to cover. Now, at his age, with his lack of game fitness, it is going to be too much work against a direct team. With Ole Watkins coming at you like a tsunami, Casemiro is going to fall someone, he's going to concede a penalty, he's going to concede a free kick in a dangerous position, because this is too much ground to cover. Support him with either a Kobe Maino playing next to him, or with Bruno preferably, because Bruno is a hard worker, Bruno is a runner. So limit how much ground he has to cover from the number 10 position to track back, because Bruno will always track back. But put him close to Casemiro to support him, and let Maino, Rashford, Garnacho, and Højlund do the damage. But also, you know that Bruno Fernandes can ably contribute because he's good at long passes. He can give distributing the ball with his long passes on the counter, initiating a counter. Casemiro as well is good with long passes. So for me, I want to see this tried out, and I think it's not, there's not much risk in it. Whereas it's not something we've played, I don't think there is much risk in it, because I honestly think with Kobe Maino scoring goals, I think a footballer wants, when you start scoring goals, because it's the ultimate end goal for any footballer. Even if you're not a striker, you want to score goals and you feel good when you score a goal. Your adrenaline is pumped up. You want to be in goal scoring positions more. So why don't we put Maino there and we see what he can do? The beauty though is, even if you played Maino as a number 10, his work rate, he's a box to box midfielder. His work rate is that he will still track back and support the midfield, because even Højlund tracks back anyway. But can we start him as a number 10 and try to see what damage he can cause against Aston Villa in that position? For me, that's one of the things I would want to see Erik Ten Hag do in this game. So if it were up to me, in terms of personnel, not so many changes I can expect, obviously, against West Ham, because this is our best squad. But I still think we have not. This is not the best. Playing Maino as a holding midfielder is not the best usage of him that we can see. I want to try him in that position, and for me, this is the preferred starting 11 and arrangement of these players. That's my honest opinion, and you can give me yours, guys, in the comment section. You can let me know what you think. But for me, that's how I would prefer Erik Ten Hag to start this team against Aston Villa. That would be my honest preference. Now, the England boss as well said it, Gareth Southgate, that Kobe Maino, who they are monitoring closely, is good, but he's not necessarily a defensive midfielder. He is not necessarily a holding midfielder. He was doing that because he's able to do it, and he has done it, of course, at the junior ranks. But for an 18-year-old, there is more. We are yet to discover him. I think we can try him in different areas as a number in that midfield. And as a number 10, for me, I still think my instinct tells me Maino is the best number 10 we have got at United. Bruno has been I think he can be better off coming from deeper positions as a number 8, like the shirt number he puts on, next to Casemiro, blocking on the right, Casemiro blocking on the left. But of course, they keep coming in and interchanging, supporting each other. And I think that way United would look a bit different. But also, we don't want to be overly predictable, because when all these players are fit, we might actually stand the risk of playing the same players in every game. And I think that would make us predictable and beatable. If you're predictable, you're beatable. In fact, if anything, we can start switching things around and see Rashford starting on this side. We want to see more interplay between these boys. We want to start seeing these movements happening, these puzzles. We need to start seeing these players enjoying playing with each other. I think we are yet to see the proper love affair or bromance between these young lads who love playing with each other. Clearly, I think we are yet to see a proper bromance between Mainu, Højlund, Garnacho, and of course, for now, Rashford, who I think should be replaced by Mason Mount, by Mason Greenwood rather, in the summer. So I think the only way we can see the best of this bromance is if Kobe Maino is playing closer to them. This is what I want to see Erik Ten Hag do. And this is the first opportunity we have for that to happen in this game. That's my honest opinion. But that is how I think I would prefer this team arranged. You can tell me your opinion in the comment section. But for me, that would be my starting 11 for this game against Aston Villa. So we are talking about Aston Villa, who are lying in fourth position. According to their boss, Unai Emery, the ultimate target for Aston Villa this season is to finish among the top 4. and play in the Champions League. That's their target. And to be honest, they can do it. I think they have put themselves in a good positions. They are 8 points clear of us, meaning we've got such a huge mountain to climb, and that in itself makes it, I think, a very difficult team for us to travel to and face. More so if they are wounded. They are wounded Lion now. Now going to the man you see on your screen, Rasmus Højlund. Rasmus Højlund has scored 10 goals this season, and most of the goals have not been assisted, if we would say it. He has created these goals from scraps. He's living off scraps, but he's scoring 10 goals. Now, this is a mark of a big striker, a mark of a striker who has got character, a striker who has shown us that he can score all forms of goals. We are yet to see him take a penalty. I think we have not seen many. Has Højlund scored a goal with his head at United? I'm trying to recall. Of the 10 goals he has scored, you can remind me, guys, in the comment section. Has Højlund scored a goal with his head? I think we are yet to say a header, but that is because he doesn't get a lot of service. I think opportunities for him to score with his head, which is okay because the way we play and the way Erik Ten Hag wants to play is not really crosses and all. I think he would prefer us passing the ball and creating pinholes and passes and all. But I think he has got little service, yes. And this is another thing I wanted to talk about. To find right, thank you again for reminding me of the Amad Diallo and Anthony talk, because it's very important, because we do know obviously that after the 65th minute mark, Erik Ten Hag will always want to bring in his Anthony to do absolutely nothing. Usually, I think I was watching the game between United and West Ham, and I think in the first half, I predicted the substitutions Erik Ten Hag was going to make. I predicted, if I can take a screenshot from my phone because it was in a WhatsApp group, I predicted that Erik Ten Hag will pull off Mainu and bring on Scott McTominay, and the other substitution he made, Anthony, for was it Marcus Rashford? Erik Ten Hag has become so predictable. Not Rashford. I forget the other player he pulled off, but I predicted the substitutions, and it is indeed what he did. Erik Ten Hag has become so predictable with his Anthony substitution, and it's beginning to look ugly and bad on him. In the last game against West Ham, I would understand why he brought on Anthony ahead of Amad, because in that game we didn't need goals really. We needed a player who can track back and work hard and support the back line, because the reality is Anthony works hard defensively. That's why I actually said, Anthony, if I were the manager, I would mold Anthony into a left back. I think Anthony can play better as a left back than he plays as a wing back or as an inverted winger. Anthony should be playing what we would call the number 3. Look, sure, Anthony should be the third choice left back of Manchester United. Eh? Anthony, yes, someone has reminded me, Pikisa Herbert, that he scored the header in the Champions League assisted by Marcus Rashford. Thank you so much. I think he has scored only one-headed goal for Manchester United. But most of his goals are with his feet. I think those are areas he can want to improve on, but also it also means the players serving him the balls, the crosses. I think he should be trained. Those headed goals are trained. But thank you, Pikisa. Anthony, the substitution that Erik Ten Hag is forcing on us, keeping on bringing on Anthony after the 60th or 70th minute, I think does not make sense, most so if we want goals. We need to see Amad Diallo playing ahead of Anthony. He can bring on Anthony to add to the defense, because Anthony tracks back and keeps running, trying to cross would mold. Hugo Bruce, that is the manager of South Africa in the ongoing Africa Cup of Nations, is one of the most experienced managers in global football. I think he has molded so many players. I know that most of the players who play for South Africa are not playing the natural positions they play. Some of them were midfielders. He made them right backs. And it turns out Mukopa, arguably the best right back for me in the Africa Cup of Nations, the South African, was a midfielder. So I think a manager who knows how to mold players would make Anthony a left back, and actually would be a better footballer as a left back than he is as a forward. That's my honest opinion. That is my honest opinion. Anthony is not a forward. Anthony is a left back. And these traditional left backs who will just clear the ball, he can be a decent one. But We should be seeing Amad Diallo getting on the ball. When we are winning a game and it's done, let Diallo come in and excite fans because that is what they want to see. Let Diallo come in and try to create more moments. Let Diallo come in and enjoy himself. But Erik Ten Hag, who has been promised a further 1 year, and this 1 year is honestly to see how he manages the youngsters, whether he will still stick to his Anthony's and the likes. I think if he doesn't, do himself justice with these youngsters like Amad Diallo, who everyone wants to see. Sir Jim Ratcliffe is a fan of Manchester United. He also knows that Amad Diallo should be playing more, but Ten Hag is not giving him the time. And yet, when he gave him time against Nottingham Forest, he did well. So you wonder why he never gave him, and that's exactly what he did with Pelistri. When a player comes up and he shows signs that he can outshine his Anthony, he keeps him on the bench. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't know what Erik Ten Hag is up to, but I don't get it. We need to see Amad Diallo playing against Aston Villa. He should be coming on, honestly. That's my honest opinion on that. But for Højlund, I still think we are yet to see the best of Højlund. I've told people that Rasmus Højlund, put this Rasmus Højlund in Manchester City, he will score. Haaland is a finisher. Højlund is a footballer. He's more complete. Højlund is more of a Wayne Rooney. Haaland is more of a Ruud van Nistelrooy, if you know what I mean. Højlund can pass the ball, he can nutmeg, he can do step overs, his holder plays better, he's good, he's a baller. Erling Haaland is a finisher, and people hate these comparisons, but I think because their names are even rhyme, I would because honestly, if we are going to big grind goals, if Erling Haaland was playing in this selfish United, he would have 1 goal, I think, or 2 goals, the ones assisted by Marcus Rashford to Rasmus Højlund. If Erling Haaland was playing for this Manchester United, Erling Haaland would have at most 3 goals. At most 3 goals. Højlund has 10 goals. Most of them has been his hard work and him grinding, but also him involving his teammates in play, coming and picking the ball from deep. His hold-up play. Højlund is a baller. Guys, we've got a jewel in this boy, and that's why when I hear people talking about us bringing another striker, Ivan Toney, I'm thinking, what are these people talking about? You don't need Toney. We've got the best young striker in Europe. You just need someone more experienced, but not a competitor. He doesn't need competition. He's good enough. He just needs a few, we just need a backup anyway. Not even someone more experienced. We need a backup for him because there's not even so much for him to learn from the more experienced player. I think with more game time, Højlund is going to become it's going to keep becoming better. Højlund is a bit like Mainu. There is not so much for Højlund to be taught. Everything he needs to learn will come with experience. So this boy is that good, and that's why I think we just need to give him the trust and get a backup for him, because Anthony Martial is obviously done and dusted at Manchester United. So I think in one of these games, with this Man United beginning to pick up the way we are, I think Højlund can score 6 goals against an opponent. Højlund will score 6 goals in a single game before Erling Haaland did when we click. Let us play Kobe Mainoo number 10. Have Garnacho in his mood. Pray to the man above that after the summer we have Mason Greenwood back. That Højlund will score 20 goals in 2 games or in 3 games. Trust you me. The 7 goals he needs to equate the Wayne Rooney records, that's a guarantee he will score this season. That's how good that boy is. And also the fact that they are beginning to gel, these kids are beginning to gel together as a team, is also another important factor. That for me shows that where we are headed is right, and that our youngsters are beginning to click. And when they do click 100%, it will be a massive. Yes, Stash Pro, 100%. That's exactly what he needs. Højlund just needs a backup. Not anyone to teach him, because on this market, there is no striker better than Højlund. I understand why we spent £72 million on him. There is no striker. Kylian Mbappe is not really a number 9. He's a winger. The only other striker that is better than him is Harry Kane. Harry Kane is never going to join United, but also Harry Kane is old. He's past 30. Højlund is the second best striker after Harry Kane. Højlund is ahead of Erling Haaland, if you ask me, because he's playing with selfish people but he's scoring almost as many goals as these guys who have got all this service from Man City and what have you. So he just needs a backup. And for me, Sahu Girassi is good enough. He's cheap and he's decent enough. I would go for Sahu Girassi as his backup, and then we focus on bringing back Mason Greenwood, and then a holding midfielder. And that's where, of course, people are mentioning, Frankie de Jong. I don't like de Jong. And in my next video that I'll drop today, I'll tell you my reasons. I don't like de Jong for United. I think we can think about other players. I would rather spend money on the expensive, what's his name? The Joao Neves. I would rather spend money on Joao Neves, the Benfica boy, than spending money on this Frankie de Jong, who disrespected us. Just bring Joao Neves, play him with Kobe Mainu. Now this is the long term, because we are planning without Casemiro, who is in the evening of his start United. Bring Joao Neves. If there is one player for now, and depending on his attitude, but most of these Portuguese players are well managed. If there is one player we can spend money on in the summer, after selling Marcus Rashford to PSG, spend that money on Joao Neves, bring Mark Mason Greenwood, bring a backup striker for Rasmus Højlund. That would be a decent summer for us. If we can bring in maybe a one centre back, because of course we need a replacement for Varane, who should be leaving. We know we've spoken about Todibo. Bring your Todibo. Hope that Tyrell Malaysia returns fit, and Wan-Bissaka steps up his game. That would be a decent summer for us and good enough for us to reorganize. Honestly, bring Greenwood back, sign Joao Neves, bring a backup striker, Sahu Girassi, to back up Rasmus Højlund. I think it would be if Onana is still performing well, if he keeps improving, we will be good enough. Treble material after one season. We would be treble material. That's my honest opinion. That's my honest opinion. So for me, that's exactly what Manchester United has got to do. Guys, I do remind you to subscribe if you haven't. And yeah. So this past week, Robin van Persie was at Old Trafford. He's doing his badges as a UEFA Pro licensed coach, and part of course, the mandatory stuff you're supposed to do is, you visit a big club in Europe and of course we had to welcome him. He's our legend. Van Persie scored 58 goals in 105 games for Man United. I was looking at that video and watching the goals he scored. What a striker he was. How good would it be? And I was seeing reports that he could return as a coach of the strikers at Man United. I actually think Van Persie was such a good finisher. He was a classy finisher. He was a brilliant finisher with his left foot. And the fact that our best striker, Rasmus Højlund, is also left-footed, I actually think he would be a good trainer for Rasmus Højlund, for him to be even better with what he does. Because on the ball, I think Højlund is even a better ball player than Van Persie ever was. Van Persie was a good ball control, good, smart, never eye to goal, he would never miss. This Højlund is better involving himself in play, the way Rooney was. But in terms of finishing, Van Persie can make him more sharper. I think it would be a good thing to see. I hope he returns after he's done with his badges. He's a coach at Feyenoord, but I hope Van Persie returns. I think it would be good. If there's one person he needs, I think it's Van Persie. He was a left-footed striker. There are not so many you would struggle to find a better left-footed striker than Van Persie was. So if we have him and the way he loves United, I think it would be a good addition to improve our Rasmus Højlund in terms of his finishing. So yeah, that's what I think, guys. I think I'll let you have your good morning. That's what I just wanted to give you my probable lineup and how it will be arranged. And yes, wait for my next video that will come, I think, before just around 4 p.m. I'll give you my honest opinion on Frankie de Jong and all these other rumors we are hearing about United. and which players I think we need to bring in. My name is Webb. Subscribe. I will be back live at exactly 5 p.m. God willing. If not, we will be back at 11. But most likely, if there is more news, good news to tell you, I will be back at 5. And we'll talk about Man United a lot more. But we are daily. We are here live at 11 for the night show here on the United Hotspot. My name is Webb, guys. Let's keep building up to Man United. Subscribe, become a member, and just keep supporting this United community of Manchester United. Forget about these people who do not want Mason Greenwood back, and they are continuously pushing that hate speech. They are continuously pushing the hate speech against Greenwood, which I will not accept. This boy can return to Manchester United. Greenwood can return to Manchester United. Forget about the hate speech against him. Greenwood can return to Manchester United. It's possible. Subscribe to the United Hotspot. My name is Webb.